divine timing is a thing, whatever, right? You have to upgrade. Once you upgrade your identity, you have to upgrade your belief system. And your belief system is literally your projector, the way that you experience the world. Your belief system is like, I believe that I am enough, and therefore, because I'm inherently enough and good things are coming my way. So if that's my belief system, that is going to paint the lens that I see the world through. I'm going to have a perception that's looking for my enoughness, that's looking for my inherent gold, that's looking for good things that are coming. And you will find what you're looking for, right? You will find what you're looking for. So your belief systems upgrade. When your belief systems upgrade, so do your thoughts. When your thoughts are more positive, they release hormones that feel better, that influence positive thoughts, that release feel-good hormones, feeling like we're enough and believing like we're enough. How would you show up in your life?
Hey, I'm Brooke Jean, therapist, recovering perfectionist, and struggling working mom on a mission to normalize normal. If you're an overwhelmed, high-achieving, and secretly anxious mama, struggling to balance it all and on the brink of burnout, you are in the right place. Here is where we talk about hard things like balancing work and family life, mental health, and how to navigate life-altering transitions. Nothing is too taboo here. In my conversations, I'll teach you how to let go of who you think you're supposed to be in order to create the life you've always wanted. Get ready to embrace your messy, shed the shoulds, and find freedom through a life unperfected. This is the Unperfected Pod.
Welcome back to the Unperfected Pod, where we normalize normal and find freedom in a life unperfected. What is up, mama? My name is Brooke Jean. I'm your host. Welcome back. I am so happy and grateful you are here. I am just an emotional hot mess express today. I'm just going to name it. Okay. I'm going to name it and I'm going to claim it. It is election day here in the United States of America. And the tension has been rising. The pressure cooker has been pressing. The emotions are big. The energy is big. And there is only so much this 5'2.5" figure can handle. So I started my day just like I start every other ordinary day. I wake up and my brain goes straight to my affirmations. I am so happy and grateful to be alive. I am so happy and grateful for another day. I'm so happy and grateful that I get to take my daughter to school, and I kind of get up and I start like making my way through the house and just kind of noticing all that I'm grateful for. Your girl is on a compounding like train right now. Everything that's good, I'm trying to compound it. I'm trying to zoom in on it, notice how good it can get, feel the feelings of how good that is, squeeze out any feelings I can get of how good that is, and really just like create a reality based on what I'm giving my attention to. So I wake up and I start going through the whole house, and I'm just like, I love my daughter's room, and I love that her house is cozy, and I love the smells, and I love my husband, and that, listen, I'm out here creating my reality. And then I get my sweet girl to school, and I come home and I wash my face, and I decide I can feel the energy in the collective. Like, I haven't looked at my phone. I haven't looked at social media. I haven't looked at the news. I've already voted, so I know that that's taken care of. I know what I stand for and where I'm at, but I know that today is a day that I'm going to breathe. I'm going to take care of myself. I'm going to regulate my nervous system. I'm going to choose to come from a place of love, and I'm just going to repeat, rinse until the cows come home. So I decide, because I can feel the energy in the collective, just like tight AF, I decide I'm going to go on Facebook Live, and I'm going to teach people how to regulate their nervous system in real time. I'm going to explain to them the neurobiology of what is happening in their brain and bodies when they are triggered, when they are dysregulated. I'm going to educate on what the symptoms look like when you are dysregulated. And I'm going to give them tools for their toolbox so that they can take care of themselves today. And we are even going to do them together. And, I talked about, and I think it's worth repeating, like, it's really important that we begin to take responsibility for our triggers. instead of spewing our woundedness onto others. To be a person who says, I have these feelings, I have these fears, I have these anxieties, and I'm going to take care of myself and heal, and I'm going to utilize my coping skills, and I'm going to ground myself instead of just projecting my fear and my anger and my anxiety onto my neighbor or the person that cut me off on the commute or my partner or my kids. I am seeing so many people just throw their woundedness on each other in the name of patriotism. I'm seeing people just spew and fling their poo on each other when it's really like, dudes, do your own work. I understand if you're afraid. I understand if you're anxious. I understand if you're angry. I understand if you're feeling protective. I understand, but it doesn't mean that we get to take it out on each other. So it takes a really conscious woman, a really conscious person who takes personal responsibility and says, you know what? Instead of going off on my neighbor in the next door app, I'm going to actually go freaking breathe for a minute. Instead of flying off the handle at my neighbors on Facebook, I'm going to go put my feet in the grass for a minute. Instead of just raging at my family, I'm going to go journal and cry and see my therapist, whatever it is. We have got to take responsibility for our triggers instead of projecting our hurt onto others, re-traumatizing one another. It's like we've forgotten that we're one. We've forgotten that we're humans with hearts that all beat the same. We've forgotten that we come from love and light. We've forgotten that we're supposed to take care of ourselves so that we can take care of each other. We've forgotten that we have this collective community mentality and biology that wants us to be together and to be supportive of one another and nurture one another and collaborate with one another. We have forgotten. And why have we forgotten? Because we're mired down by our traumas and our triggers and our beliefs about scarcity and not enoughness. And we are just flinging our woundedness onto each other. And so I knew that today was going to be a day that I was going to be a big girl. I was going to put my therapy pants on. I was going to put my mom hat on. I was going to put my conscious woman bra on. And I was going to say, I'm going to feel my freaking feelings today. I'm going to release my feelings after I felt them. And I'm going to regulators mount up. I'm going to regulate my nervous system so that I can stay in my rational brain and I can take care of myself, my clients, my family, the people that are in my sphere, right? And so I went on Facebook Live to share that and to teach that and to help people grow their toolbox so that they can regulate. So I did all that and that felt really good. Well, then in between that and my first client, I happened to peek on social media and then I started getting anxious and then I started eating ice cream and then I took a nap. Y'all, I took a nap. I think it was 10:15 a.m. 10:15 a.m., y'all. A.m. is when I needed my first nap today. Election day 2024. I think you feel me. I actually think you feel me. I actually think many of you have eaten ice cream today. I think many of you have needed a nap today. I think many of you can feel the angst in the air and you're just like, I don't even know what to do about it. I think many of you are on, just pins and needles wanting to know what's going to happen here. So anyways, I did that. And then I got up from my nap and I was like, all right, I think I need to acknowledge this anxiety and this sadness that's kind of bubbling up. And so I felt that. And then I started working with my clients. And now here we are. So what is the moral of the damn story? The moral of the damn story is take care of yourselves so that you can take care of each other. Let's regulate our nervous systems. Let's take responsibility for our triggers and stop flinging them onto others. You got to feel your feelings, release them, and then regulate. That's what I kept saying on Facebook Live. Like, feel, release, regulate. Feel, release, regulate. I have many podcast episodes about feeling your feelings, how to process your feelings, how to regulate your nervous system, and all that good stuff. So I trust that you guys know where to find that, or you can just go and be friends with me on Facebook and you can see it's like 38 minutes or 36 minutes. I also dropped it into my Instagram as well. So with that being said, now is when I want a healthy distraction. Okay. We have been in our feels. We have dealt with them in a healthy way and we have dealt with them in not so healthy ways. We're all only human. There's a wide range of normal. Okay. Nobody's claiming to be perfect up in here. Every once in a while, I'm going to need a healthy and an unhealthy distraction. We had the unhealthy distraction with the ice cream and the social media and the nap. I mean, a nap is normally acceptable, except at 10:30 in the morning when you haven't really done that much. It's like, it's clear that it's like your body is shutting down and just wanting to avoid reality. But now I want to do a healthy distraction, and I want to have a conversation with you that doesn't have anything to do with the election or the stress of the election or the political climate or any of that stuff that's going on that is very real. So my intention is not to minimize the seriousness and the severity and the things that are on the line here, but it is to remind you that when you're in a hard thing, if you don't take breaks and give your brain and your nervous system and your body something else to do that's healthier, you're going to wear yourself down. You're going to get sick. You're going to wear down your immune system. You're going to burn yourself out. So whether you're grieving, you got to take time for laughter. It doesn't mean you're grieving any less. When you're in the middle of election season, you got to let yourself take a break from it. Even if you're doing intense advocacy work, you've got to take a break and go do something else. All the time, we don't give ourselves permission to do that. And we think like, oh, because I'm not in it to the end, then I'm not an advocate, or I'm not grieving, or I didn't love them as much as I said I did, or I must be selfish, or something must be wrong with me that I'm not feeling anger and sadness all the time. No, we don't need to over-identify with our crunchy feelings to prove anything to anyone. Feel your feelings and then choose where you give your attention to. So this is me choosing to give my attention to something that is a break for my brain other than the election. So I want to talk about identity. Identity. Identity work will change your life for so many reasons. Your identity is this like subconscious deep culmination of who you believe yourself to be. And from that deep subconscious place, because it's your identity, you have a lens that you see the world through this identity. You have belief systems that are in alignment with this identity. You have feelings that perpetuate this identity. You take action in accordance to this identity. And a lot of us are walking around with an outdated, old, conditioned identity. So I want you to take a moment right now and I want you to think about, what is my current identity? Do I identify as a woman? Do I identify as a mother? Do I identify as a happy person? Do I identify as a perfectionist? Do I identify as a wife? Do I identify as a go-getter? Do I identify as a trauma victim? Do I identify as an alcoholic? Like, what do you identify yourself as? This was huge for me when I left my corporate career and had my midlife awakening at 33. Because having a son in college, my identity became a mom. Before I had the time to really consciously craft and curate an appropriate for me, authentic, soul-guided identity. And then I quickly became a Target leader. And so I embodied the identity that Target wanted from their leadership. They wanted engaging and inspiring leaders. They wanted strong people who could demonstrate courage. They wanted strategic people that could move the needle and see the forest through the trees and get things done. And like, I drank the friggin' Kool-Aid, honey. Your girl drank the Kool-Aid. A lot of us perfectionists, when we get into a corporate setting, we're going to play the game and we're going to play it well. We're going to drink the Kool-Aid and we're going to drink it all the way to the top. Okay. We have no qualms until we burn out with that progression. We don't even know that we're doing it. We're just trying to be good girls. Okay. We're just trying to be successful. We're just trying to be the best. No big deal. So we drink the Kool-Aid all the way to the top. So when I left Target, I was like, my identity was Target queen / mom / party girl / successful young driven leader / funny / messy. I mean, listen. I didn't know who I was. The identities that I held were the ones that were given to me or that I thought I needed to put on in order to be successful, in order to be deemed good enough, in order to be like to thrive in the world essentially. And there's no shame in that game, by the way. I don't regret it. It's all part of the journey of becoming. I don't have any like remorse or like, oh, I should have known better and I should have done different. No. Your life's work is about unearthing the corest you that you can be, which is your identity. Your life's work is the journey home to yourself. Your life's work is healing the layers of conditioning and patterning and trauma responses and shape shifting you've done to fit into the world to then, let your core rise to the surface and shine. Your life's work is the unbecoming of who you thought you were supposed to be so that you can live a life that you want. That is the unperfected method, right? So it's all good. But when I no longer had my work as my identity, I didn't know who I was. I didn't know who I was. Like, who is Brooke Jean under her roles and responsibilities? If she's not a Target leader, the Target queen, if you will, if she's not a mother, if she's not a breadwinner, if she's not a wife, if she's not an oldest of 3, if she's not a go-getter, if she's not the one you can lean on to make shit happen, who is she? And that felt really scary and big to figure out. It felt like I was free falling into nothingness. Like, where am I? Who am I? What am I destined to do? Like, what's happening? If I don't have this identity, I feel like I'm out here naked and afraid. I felt vulnerable. I didn't really know how I was going to figure it out. And so somehow I intuitively started to figure out that it wasn't necessarily about trying on a new identity. It was about peeling the layers that I had tried on before that were no longer relevant or just were no longer in alignment. So I was like, the corporate baddie is not in alignment anymore. The people pleasing perfectionist, do it exactly the way you want me to, isn't in alignment anymore. That doesn't work for me. I want to do things my own way. Being the perfect mom, that was like making me sick trying to keep up. I'm like, I am a good mom, but trying to be perfect is pushing me into all these extremes. That is absolutely self-sabotaging my health, my well-being, my relationships, and my success. And so like that perfectionist, I didn't want that to be part of my identity. The mom, I was like, yep, I'm a mom. That's a part of my identity, but I also don't identify with the moms who that's their only identity. Like, I always knew, like, I love being a mom. This is like the most important role I'm ever going to have. And like, I believe it was given to me at 21 years old, kismetly, like divinely orchestrated. And yet, listen, honey, I am bigger than the part of me that is a mother. Like, there was a soul that chose to be born in this body that has a mission on this planet. There is a person that I am. There's a little Brookie that I was as a little girl. There's a woman that I became. There is a leader that has a mission and a movement. Like, there's a big burst of energy here. And then I became a mom. So like my whole identity is not just that I'm a mom. That's an important part of who I am that I take very seriously. But I'm not okay just flashing my mom card, flashing my mama t-shirt and being like, well, I'm nothing under that. No shame in that game to the mamas who do. No judgment to the moms who do that. It just never really was me. It never landed. And I felt like I was some terrible mom because I wasn't drinking that Kool-Aid. So anyways, your identity shapes your reality. And the first step in uncovering what your identity is just to ask yourself, what is the identity that I'm wearing? Maybe you're wearing wife, maybe you're wearing mom, maybe you're wearing teacher, maybe you're wearing healer, maybe you're wearing activist, maybe you're wearing matriarch, maybe you're wearing leader. Like what's the identity? And here's a question you can ask yourself to uncover your identity. I am a woman who, fill in the blank, something that you always think, believe, do, feel. I am a woman who gets easily triggered. Hey, that's my identity. I am a woman who's extremely passionate about my work. I am a woman who is playful with my kids. I am a woman who takes things personally. I am a woman who, right, like cries a lot. Like, start to list out the I am a woman who. I am a woman who feels unlovable. I am a woman who seeks validation from outside sources. Or I am a woman who knows her flippin' worth. I am a woman of God. I am a spiritual teacher. I am a highly conscious woman who is healing, becoming, and rising. That's my MFN identity now. I am a highly conscious woman who is on a journey of healing, becoming, and rising. So, who are you being right now? And then you can start to look at, how is that showing up in my thoughts, feelings, behaviors, patterns, addictions, ways of self sabotage, relationships. So if I am a woman who takes things personally, then I'm probably also a woman who's insecure. I'm probably also a woman who's constantly comparing herself on social media, who's constantly telling herself she's never enough with a mean inner critic, who's putting up that wall energetically in relationship because I'm afraid I'm going to get hurt or abandoned or rejected, right? Like, there's some ways of being that I might be engaging in because I'm a woman who takes things personally. If I'm a woman who's going to get you before you get me, I'm probably a woman who has more of a fight response. I'm probably a woman who can show up angry. I'm probably a woman who has a lot of fire in her belly, a lot of drive, a lot of passion. Maybe I misuse that drive and passion. If I am a woman who is a victim to my circumstance, I'm a woman who is a product of divorce. I'm a woman whose husband left her. I am a woman who can't figure out my soul's purpose. I am a woman who had this childhood trauma. If we over identify with the unfortunate circumstances in our lives, we will self sabotage ourselves to stay in that narrative subconsciously. Because if we believe that we are a woman that is a victim to her circumstances, then somewhere subconsciously we are going to have thoughts, feelings, behaviors, and actions that perpetuate the belief system that create that identity. But when you decide, and we've talked about the power of choice, the power of decision, when you decide, you know what, I'm outgrowing that identity. I'm no longer someone who's survived childhood trauma. I'm no longer someone who's survived this. I'm no longer a woman who's divorced. I am becoming a woman who, fill in the blank, honey. I am becoming a woman who turns her pain into power. I am becoming a woman who utilizes her hard things as gifts in the world. I'm becoming a woman who rises above unfortunate circumstances. I am becoming a woman who is worthy of goosebump worthy love. I am becoming a woman who is a magnet for miracles and abundance and love. I am becoming a woman who is on a mission to change people's lives. I am becoming a woman who breaks generational cycles of trauma. I am becoming a woman who I like when I look at myself in the mirror. I am becoming a woman who I am proud of when I go to rest my head at sleep at night. So, who are you becoming a woman of? I am becoming a woman who, fill in the blank. Fill in the blank. Your identity is made up of these beliefs that you have about yourself and others. like I'm a victim, or bad things are going to happen to me, or people are going to leave me, or men are terrible, nobody loves me, I'm not lovable, I'm not worthy, I wouldn't even know what to do with love. I see people over identifying with their attachment styles. I see people over identifying with their human design and personality test. I see people over identifying with their work roles and responsibilities. Like, why are we over identifying with our limitations? Let's start over identifying with our potentiality. Let's decide that our identity is going to hold our purest and most potent potential, your highest and best self, your inner CEO, the one that is highly conscious, highly capable, totally healed, knows her worth, stands rooted and grounded in her enoughness, trusts herself, uses her gifts generously, knows it's all unfolding for her and in divine timing, believes in herself, takes risks, goes after it, manages her triggers, lives intentionally, makes money moves, baby, unapologetically, has fun, engages in pleasure and joy, and just loves the shit out of her life. That's the woman that I want your identity to be. Because if that's your identity, it's going to force you to upgrade your belief system. Like, I deserve pleasure. I am playful. Good things are happening for me. All of it is for me. Divine timing is a thing, whatever, right? You have to upgrade. Once you upgrade your identity, you have to upgrade your belief system. And your belief system is literally your projector, the way that you experience the world. Your belief system is like, I believe that I am enough, and therefore, because I'm inherently enough and good things are coming my way. So if that's my belief system, that is going to paint the lens that I see the world through. I'm going to have a perception that's looking for my enoughness, that's looking for my inherent gold, that's looking for good things that are coming, and you will find what you're looking for, right? You will find what you're looking for. So your belief systems upgrade. When your belief systems upgrade, so do your thoughts. When your thoughts are more positive, they release hormones that feel better. That affects your feelings. And when we have, empowering beliefs that influence positive thoughts, that release feel-good hormones, well, now we're these walking humans that are walking around with dopamine and serotonin and feeling like we're enough and believing like we're enough. How would you show up in your life if you were coming from that like slew of events? Having an identity of like, I am inherently golden and the good is happening for me, and having beliefs around that and thoughts around that and feelings around that, and taking action and having behaviors that are in alignment with that. What reality will you create? Versus the reality that you have now that is based on your outdated identity, that you're not smart enough, that you're not skinny enough, that you're not a good mom, that you're not a good wife, that you're not far enough along in your profession, that good doesn't come to you, that money doesn't grow on trees. You have those identities. I'm just a small town girl who doesn't, no. You're an extraordinary being who's destined for beauty and love and abundance. Do not shortchange yourself based on your circumstances up to this point. Your circumstances were just there to teach you how strong you can be, to show you how resilient you can be, to demonstrate for you your internal leadership, your resilience, your tenacity, your gifts, your gold, your enoughness. Use all that hard and alchemize it for something bigger and better, but you got to upgrade your identity. I am becoming a woman who, fill in the blank of your ideal identity. Clean up your belief systems, right? So if you have a sheet of paper, you can write this out. I am becoming a woman who, fill in the blank, the kind of woman you want to be, is highly conscious, is healing, becoming, and rising, who's breaking generational cycles of trauma, who is an extraordinary leader, like leading a movement in the world, who is financially responsible and generous, who is loving, kind, and funny, whatever. And don't let your perfectionism try to tell you what you're supposed to be. Your perfectionism is like, well, let me think about what I've learned a good girl is. Well, she's kind and she's caring and she's nurturing and she's skinny and she never has a long chin hair coming out. No, no, I'm an extraordinary being who's here to heal, become, and rise with a nose hair popping out. Deal with me. Deal with me. Right? Do not let your perfectionism tell you what your identity is. Your perfectionism, my love, is a protective part, wanting to keep you safe. But that's not your identity. Your identity is like, who am I underneath my coping skills that are unhealthy? Who am I under my fears and my protective measures? Who am I under my armor and my protective parts like perfectionism and pretending? Here's another juicy question for you to ask or journal on to start to formulate your identity and what's no longer your identity. If I never had to prove my worth and myself again, I would spend that energy on fill in the blank. If I never had to prove myself, I would be fill in the blank. If I didn't have to amount to anything according to my parents, if I didn't have to make a certain amount of money, if I didn't have to look a certain way, act a certain way, behave a certain way, represent a certain stature, if I didn't have to do any of that shit, if I could just be me, I would be fill in the blank. If I could just be me, I would still be doing what I'm doing every day right now. I would still laugh. I would still play. I would still cry. I would still rage. I would still dance. I would still coach and teach and mentor and heal. And I would still love my husband and I would still parent my children and I would still make an impact on the world. And I would still do so in a really blunt kind of way. I would be me. And now I get to channel all that energy that for years I was spending on proving my worth through my perfectionism. Now I get to spend it on the things that make me even better at those things. Now I get to spend that energy on my self-care, right? My naps and my ice cream, my tear fests, my dance classes, my daily mental health walks, my relationships. I get to spend that energy on creating memories with my family. I get to spend that energy on like creating potent programs that help women transform their lives. I get to spend that energy being in the presence of women that are ready to transform. I get to spend that energy being with my family and my friends. I get to spend that energy just existing and being at peace because it's enough. So if you weren't in a proving energy, if you weren't having to prove that you were enough, what would you be doing instead? Those are some clues of your authentic identity. So let me kind of summarize what I've said so far, because I feel like I've gone on 496 tangents, and that's how I roll. I apologize in advance, but sorry, not sorry. It's just the way my brain works. Imagine being inside my own head all day. We're talking about identity because I needed a freaking break from the election. Okay. And I've been doing identity work for 10 years now, and I'm really in a whole new realm of it right now as we speak. And when I look at the things that actually help women transform their lives, I teach it to you. Identity work is one of those things. Your identity is the subconscious culmination of beliefs that you have about yourself that then paint the world that you live in, that then determine the life that you have. So if you have an identity that you are a victim of your circumstance, you are going to have belief systems that support that. You're going to have thoughts, feelings, and behaviors that perpetuate that. If you have an identity that you're a badass bitch, you are going to have belief systems, thoughts, feelings, and behaviors that perpetuate that. We have got to upgrade our identities to kickstart an entire new process. But it's not about going out and handpicking a new identity. It's about shedding the shoulds, shedding the layers of conditioning, shedding the layers of roles and responsibilities and becoming that you've done in order to be a good girl, to be good enough, to be a good mom. It's about letting those go so that you can unearth the diamond from within, the core essence of your being, whether that's energy, your spirit, your soul. It's all the same shit, by the way. I want you to unearth that essence, unearth that gold, unearth that diamond, baby, and then start to step more and more into her radiance and her exuberance and her beauty and her brilliance and her intentionality and her creativity and her playfulness and it gets juicier and juicier and bigger and bigger. And whatever your identity is going to be, it's like, I am becoming a woman who is unshakable in her self-worth, knows who she is, and is not afraid to stand grounded in that, makes a difference on this planet, and does so playfully and joyfully, prioritizes her self-care so that she can take care of business. That's who I'm becoming. That is your identity that you are growing into. So it's an unbecoming to unearth the core essence, and then a growing into and an expanding, if that makes sense. And so you get to decide, I'm becoming a woman who. And if I'm becoming a woman who unabashedly shines bright in this world, brighter than she's ever shown, then what are the belief systems I need to have in order to embody that identity? Well, I've got to have courage. I've got to have magnetism. I've got to have unshakable belief in myself and my gifts. Where is that crunchy for me? Let me face that. Let me do that work. Well, I got to take care of myself. So I need to believe that it's good to take care of myself. Where am I crunchy in that? Well, I've got to take risks and put myself out there and be vulnerable. Where am I crunchy with that? Do the work, right? So it's like you unearth your identity and then you grow into the woman you're becoming. And then you also upgrade your beliefs to support the new identity. And this is how we end up having a completely new perception of reality. So when they say your perception creates your reality, this is what they mean. You're going to find what you're looking for. If you're looking for bad things to happen to you because you're stuck in your victim identity, there's no shame being thrown at that, by the way. We've all been there. In fact, there are times when it's appropriate to be there. There are times when we are there. We just cannot get stuck there. And many people are over-identifying with that and getting stuck there. And that's not what I want for you. But if you have this belief that bad things are going to happen to you because you're in your victim identity, then that is your perception of the reality. But of the same reality, because I believe that the universe is, everything is unfolding for me. Everything is a lesson or a blessing. And I take care of myself and I prime my nervous system for the pain so that I can handle the pleasure. I do my healing work. I manage my mental health. I manage my emotional body so that I can handle whatever comes my way, so that I can also experience all the blessings on blessings on blessings. My perception of the very same reality of yours is going to be very different. And I'm going to keep compounding mine and you're going to keep compounding yours. So this podcast is me helping you get unhooked from the identities that are keeping you small, keeping you in the victim and the apathy energy. I want to pull you off of that. I want to remind you of your brilliance and your beauty and your radiance. I want you to unearth a new identity, the one that's always been in there buried, so that you can create a new reality, so that you can experience more love, more beauty, more enoughness, more abundance, more joy, more peace, more pleasure, more radiance, more love, all the good, juicy stuff this world has to offer. So, your identity is extremely important. This is a huge piece of the puzzle in your becoming the highest and best version of yourself. I go deep into this identity work in the Unstuck and Unstoppable program. I go deep into this identity work in the one-to-one containers with me. So if you are interested in, figuring out what your current identity is, unearthing your original identity, stepping into your brilliance and your best potential, reach out to us, get in the programs. I cannot wait to see you there. If not, take a little piece of this conversation, put it into your back pocket, weave it into your world. Just do some reflecting on what is my current identity and what is the reality that that's yielding for me. What of that feels good? What of that feels like I've outgrown it? I'm ready to put that away. I am becoming a woman who, fill in the blank. This work is so powerful. Let's take a deep breath together, my friends. Inhale through the nose, hold at the top. Open mouth, exhale. That was a lot. I'm sending you so much love today and always. Take care of yourselves and there for each other. I will see you same time, same place next week. Bye for now.
Hey, Mama, if you made it to the end of this episode, I just want to virtually high five you because you've said yes to the opportunity of taking better care of yourself. And that is so meaningful and so amazing. You have no idea the ripple of goodness that's to come. If you've been enjoying the show, if you've been finding it helpful, if you've laughed a little or learned a new technique, will you do me a favor? Will you make sure that you're following the show, that you've given us a 5-star rating and left a review? That will absolutely help us get this podcast into more heads and hearts of as many mamas as possible. Because when we heal the mother, we heal the world. Also, if there's a specific episode that you've loved, will you make sure to share it with a friend? Just send them the link or share it on social media and make sure you tag me at Brooke Jean Unperfected because I absolutely love seeing that this is actually giving you the impact that you so desire and deserve. Thank you so much, mamas. Make sure you're taking care of yourselves and therefore each other.